What's up, Bama Insider Nation? Trey Kennedy here for episode number 6 of our biggest storylines series. Before we get into this video, guys, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, hit that super thanks button, and go to BamaInsider.com for the latest in Alabama football news. Our two biggest questions today: will Henry To'oTo'o be the key component at inside linebacker along with Christian Harris? And what will Will Anderson do in his sophomore year with a pivotal role in Alabama's pass rush? To start off today's video, we will be talking about Henry To'oTo'o, the transfer from Tennessee to Alabama this past offseason. Why did he transfer? Well, he was very uncomfortable with the Tennessee program and everything that went down around Jeremy Pruitt, the recruiting violations and everything else. And as he released these tweets early in the summer, entering the portal, we didn't know that it was going to be Alabama at first. We had an idea, but the further we got into it, the more he made that clear and decided to commit to the Crimson Tide as well. I think it had a lot to do with what was happening at Tennessee, but I think it also happened because he realized he'd have a big opportunity to jump in a rotational role of linebackers and have a chance to start and win a national championship at the country's premier college football program at Alabama.
Well, we thought Henry was one of the best players and defensive players in our conference, and watching him play at Tennessee. And we had recruited him in high school. We thought he was an outstanding player in high school. Talking about a fine young man who's very intelligent, very instinctive player, very conscientious, wants to know everything about not only what he does, but everybody on the defense. He's got really good leadership qualities. So I think there's a lot of positives that he can bring, especially, you always want to have a great signal caller, quarterback type guy on defense, regardless of what kind of player they are. Those things really enhance the chances of all the other players on defense playing with confidence because they're confident in the call that they're getting, the adjustment that they're making, and I think that's something that Henry can really add to us, as well as being a very productive player.
Regardless of why he made that decision, he will be in Tuscaloosa for the 2021 season and presumably on. But what will his role look like this year? He will have plenty of playing time, and I believe because of his experience and skills, he will be called on to be the number 2 linebacker on this team behind Christian Harris. And I don't even know if you want to call it that. At times, you could see him making a bigger impact than Christian Harris, the biggest impact out of the group. I mean, you look back at his history, the accolades he has received. He was the 2020 All-SEC 14 member, a 2020 Bronco Nagurski Trophy preseason watchlist member, a 2020 Butkus Award preseason watchlist member, Bednarik Award preseason watchlist, preseason All-SEC first team, preseason All-SEC second team, 2019 Freshman All-American, and a 2019 SEC All-Freshman team selection. There's a lot of hype going into this sophomore year, and like I said, he was on a lot of those watch lists and didn't end up making a lot of those selections at the end of the year, but you could argue he deserved to. He led his team with 76 tackles and 10 tackles for loss last year. He was tied for 4th in the SEC. Henry To'oTo'o is a force in this league, and he's going to bring a lot to this Alabama defense. Our second question today is going to be about an outside linebacker, an edge rush specialist, and Will Anderson. And what will Will Anderson's 2021 season look like? The Terminator, one of my personal favorites of this group, and one that we've covered heavily all the way back to Kyle's original Nuggets video on Anderson, coming out early last fall practice of last season. Now, we knew what Anderson was capable of. His teammates made that clear. We saw the film in practice, but we saw this all really come to fruition when he got on the field in a real game. He had 52 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and was named the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year. If that's not living up to the Terminator nickname in year 1, I don't know what would be. But what does 2021 hold? Well, first and foremost, I think it's a little bit more respect. Several players were asked about Will Anderson at SEC Media Days, and they certainly are not overlooking him. He is beginning to gain notoriety around the league, so I think one thing we notice is...
I thought he was a great player. I believe he was a freshman last year. I mean, he's an unbelievable player. He's playing, if you didn't know any better, you think he was a second or third year guy, so I give him a lot of respect. He's a great player. I didn't get the chance to block him too many times. He played more on the edge. But he's a great player, and I'm sure he's got big things coming his way. So good for him, man.
As most other SEC teams will scheme a bit more specifically to block Anderson from getting to the pocket. You can see a lot of offenses designed around escaping Will Anderson this season. This year, I believe Will Anderson will be the most serious threat of anybody on Alabama's defense. I don't even think it's a hot take to say that Will Anderson, if he follows up his first season the way we expect, could win the National Defensive Player of the Year. He's now listed at 6'4", 235 pounds. And last year, the first thing we noticed was his explosiveness. That was fun to watch in 2020. Another feature I want to point out for this season, his open field quickness. He explodes past the line like no other in the SEC, but his ability to close out on the cornerback and have open field speed on whoever has the football is incredibly impressive to watch. Will Anderson has always been playing bigger than his size, and I think the more he grows, the more intimidating he gets. He will have a monster season in 2021, along with Henry To'oTo'o and the rest of this linebacker group, as they look to lead the Crimson Tide defense in 2021, and they figure out their specific roles and how things will look come early September. As we get closer to fall practice, BamaInsider.com has the latest coverage on all things Alabama football and the wide world of recruiting. Don't forget to hit that like button for me, guys. Subscribe to the channel and hit that super thanks as a personal way to thank the Bama Insider staff. We can't tell you how much your support means. For BamaInsider.com, my name is Trey Yanity. This has been episode 6 of the Biggest Storyline series.